How does the hearing procedure work in Connecticut workers' compensation? Morning, folks. My name is Jim Aspel. I'm a board-certified workers' compensation attorney in Farmington, Connecticut. And I wanted to talk for a moment today about the three types of hearings that can occur in a Connecticut workers' compensation proceeding. The first and most common type of hearing is what's called an informal hearing. An informal hearing is a meeting that's held in the workers' compensation district office that has jurisdiction over your case. Typically, it's attended by you or your attorney if you're represented, the insurance company's attorney, and is presided over by the commissioner. An informal hearing typically is the first meeting that you're going to have in connection with your case. 90% of the issues can be resolved at an informal hearing, typically such things as medical treatment, medical bills, authorization for you to see a doctor, whether or not there's a period of benefits that you may be entitled to that's not going to be contested, things of that nature. Generally, at informal hearings, a lot of times it's an information exchanging process. Either the defense attorney doesn't have some information that you can provide to them, or the commissioner doesn't have some information that you can provide to them. And generally, if you show up at that hearing with that information, generally things are able to move forward. Typically, a workers' compensation judge can issue orders at an informal hearing only if everyone agrees. So in other words, it's basically a consensual order. There are no formal orders that can be entered at an informal hearing. There's no court reporter and there's no testimony taken on the record. If a matter appears to be headed for a trial or a formal hearing in a workers' compensation commission, the judge may advance your matter to what's called a pre-formal hearing. A pre-formal hearing is typically a little bit longer than an informal hearing, with the goal being to see whether or not the issues can either be resolved, or if they can't be resolved, to perhaps be narrowed, so that if the case is released for trial, everybody knows what's going to have to be decided, and everybody can focus their efforts on gathering the evidence and their witnesses and doing what's necessary to prevent or to prepare your matter to move forward. A lot of times, similarly to an informal hearing, things do get resolved at the pre-formal level. Sometimes things get escalated to a pre-formal, they're then resolved, and your matter then reverts back to the informal track and proceeds along in that matter. If you have an absolutely contested matter and things can't be resolved, whether it be on the issue of compensability, medical treatment, things of that nature, then the case can be released for a formal hearing, which is a trial in the Workers' Compensation Commission. A trial in the Workers' Compensation Commission is a little bit different than a trial in the Superior Court. Typically, they're done in a number of sessions. They set aside a morning session, a 3-hour block, or an afternoon session, also a 3-hour block. Generally, your case is not going to be concluded in just one session of the formal hearing. Generally, it's going to take 2, sometimes 3 sessions to get all of your evidence in, and for the defense to get all of their evidence and their witnesses in. Then once that happens, the case is given to the commissioner to make a final decision. The commissioner has 180 days to render a decision, so essentially 6 months. So if your case goes to that formal hearing, don't expect necessarily a quick answer as to how the matter is going to be resolved. It is a slow and sometimes drawn-out process. So if the case is released for a formal hearing, you're definitely all going to be very entrenched in your positions, and things are going to take a while to sort out. But those are essentially the 3 types of hearings: an informal, which is the most common, a pre-formal, which is also very common, and then lastly, the formal hearing, which is the only matter in which formal orders can be entered. Formal hearings, fortunately, in workers' compensation are fairly rare. It's a relatively collegial group of attorneys practicing in that area, and most issues can typically either be resolved or some sort of agreeable settlement can be worked out where the case is resolved to everybody's satisfaction, and everybody can go on with their lives. Hope that helps. If you have any questions, give me a call. I'm in Farmington, Connecticut, 860-523-8783. If you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. I invite you to subscribe to the channel. We have a number of videos on Connecticut workers' compensation topics. If you have any further questions, you can also check out our website. It's www.ctworkinjurylawyer.com. There's plenty of information there on workers' compensation as well as Social Security disability. Again, hope you found the video helpful and that you have a nice day. Thanks for paying attention.